Super. All right. So this is day two or part two, whatever you can call it. And the session name would be same like AWS production use case part two, since we had part one already last week. So again, in this week, there are so many use cases that we are going to discuss. And some of them are very interesting, and slowly you will get into little deep dive to different topics and different services of AWS in order to the production use cases. So many people, they actually ask me, what do you mean by production use cases? So I will take maybe first 1 or 2 minutes to explain what's the expectation of this entire sessions, right? So this production use case is something like, once you are done with AWS courses, or maybe you already have been working with AWS somewhere. So production use case discussion would be very helpful for you for further, knowledge on AWS. Because taking a courses, knowing AWS, it's okay, but ultimately we need to understand more about how things works in real case, right? Real productions environment, right? This is the entire objective for this production use cases. So more we discuss, more we know. And again, this is a interactive session, so I also expect that it is not only the one-way communications, but I would strongly encourage that you also be part of these discussions. And if you know something, if you would like to discuss something within this team, with this forum, then please feel free to discuss. So here, all we are here to learn. Okay, if you say that something maybe funny or something, it is not that interesting, or if people will laugh at you, then please change your mind, because this is ultimately a learning sessions. So if you share your knowledge, learning, people will get that benefiting. That's the whole point. All right, so let's get started with this high level architecture, and then we'll discuss on the thing. So you see, this is a HLD for a real production use cases, one of my customers. Okay, and you see there are a lot of AWS components, and some of the components are very known to you. Okay, you probably have heard these terms, or already you have gone through these services maybe in your AWS courses, or maybe you are working somewhere with AWS. So I will explain what exactly it means, and then I will ask some of the questions from here, from this architecture diagram. So on my extreme left, you see there are end users, right? And there are branch offices and head offices. So that's some kind of a hybrid situation where your customer head offices or their branch offices, they will also connect AWS to access AWS to manage AWS infrastructure, or internally they also can access AWS. For an example, like their developer, their administrator, right? Their database team. So they need to also access to AWS, right? To manage or maintain this AWS. So basically, you can have some kind of connectivity between your customer and AWS. So that's how you see there's a direct connect and site-to-site VPN over there, right? So I'm not sure how many of you know what is MPLS. So MPLS is some kind of telecom connectivity, right? Let's say if you have the head office, branch office, that telecom company, they will give you some kind of facility so that all of the offices, branch offices, will be part of one network. Okay, so there's something like that MPLS you see. And now here, from MPLS to direct connect, there's a connectivity, right? And then the direct connectivity has got established. Okay, so many customer, they will ask you, if they don't know AWS, they will ask, okay, I have got MPLS, right? But how your direct connect will work, they don't understand. That's obvious reason, because because AWS direct connect is something AWS, right? They should know. But what you need to make them understand, yes, so direct connect is a point-to-point connectivity, right, from AWS to your on-premise environment. all you need to do that, you need to create a VPG, which is a virtual private gateway. I'll not get into this one. I mean, this is not a AWS solutions architect course, right? But what I assume that you know already, right? What is direct connect and the benefits of direct connect. And then you can establish a direct connect circuit with MPLS router. Okay. Yeah, whoever's not speak, can you please go mute, please? Thank you so much. So, and also you see there's a site-to-site VPN. Now question starts. So if the direct connect's there, then why do you need the site-to-site VPN again? Because direct connect, I've already explained that this is some kind of connectivity between AWS and your on-premise infrastructure. It is already there, right? So that all of the branch office, head office, they can connect to AWS to manage. But why do you think another site-to-site or IPsec VPN tunnel has been established? The first use case that we are going to discuss.
For security purpose.
So Jagadish rightly answered for backup. Backup in the sense is a kind of additional link for a additional failover, you can say, right? Let's say if your direct connect goes down, at least your head offices or branch offices, they can connect to AWS with the site-to-site or IPsec VPN tunnel. Okay, because you can have two direct connect lines that can be done, but it's also a costly proposition, right? Because direct connect is not, I mean, you have to pay for direct connect. More line you have, the more you have to pay. But this is something like, if your direct connect fails, then still you have the another line, which is site-to-site VPN, and by which you can connect the, to AWS. Okay, so right answer is failover. From your language, backup. Backup is not a right word, but yes, I mean, from your understanding, it's okay. The first question, I got the answer. Second thing. So now, if I start, from left to right already. So left, I've already tried to explain some portion of that, but now let's start from here inside AWS. You see there are a lot of components, right? You could see load balancer, network firewall, WAF, Cognito, Shield. Okay, I will not get into what is that. You probably know what is WAF, what is Cognito, what is Shield, right? What is API gateway? But now the question is, customer, they might ask. Recently, I got a customer. They asked the same thing. They would like to implement some kind of rate limit, okay, in load balancer. Okay, so their question was, I would like to implement some rate limit at the LB level, application load balancer, so that they want to set a limit for the end customer that not more than 700 bytes, all of the traffics will get rejected. Some of the customers, they need to define because they want to reduce some kind of brute force attack or some kind of additional load. So if this kind of questions come to you, like, some customer would like to do some kind of set limit or rate limit, then what do you think, at which layer you have to apply those settings? It is a little different tough questions, but you may try. So rate limit is again another term in industry, that you can set certain parameters so that you can set certain certain data packet size, and any packets beyond that particular threshold, it will get rejected. So that is something, the definitions of rate limit. But in this case, where you have to put this kind of settings, that's the question.
I think we can do it in the network layer.
Close, but what exactly you can define? The network layer, I understand this is a layer 3 or layer 4 maybe, but would you like to apply in load balancer or firewall? What do you think?
In I think network firewall, we can put restrictions.
Close, but as on today, network firewall, you cannot create this rate limit settings, at least even in AWS at this option.
API gateway.
No, gateway
No.
will not be. Gateway
No.
will not be. I think we have to get it onto the VPC level. I think so, but I suspect. on PC
Yeah, so
level.
at least, yeah, so at least you tried many times. So that's something I need. Okay. Thank you so much, Vivek and Jagadish. I think you tried. Maybe Murugan, you wanted to give it a try. You unmute, right?
Yeah, the restrictions, exactly, I'm not sure whether a load balancer ideally to balance the load, but not sure whether we can, put the restrictions on the data.
Yeah. So load balancer, yeah, look, in the load balancer, you cannot have those kind of limit, but the answer is WAF. Okay. So if you go to WAF, yeah,
Okay.
WAF, if you go to WAF, you can see there's a rate. I mean, you can create a rate limit customization. So something like that. So if I just
It's a web application firewall, right?
yes.
So if it is a web application firewall, it should be like restricting the kind of a security it is, right? But
Yeah.
restriction, is it be possible on that web?
Yes.
I was not knowing that part.
Yeah. So
Right
because the rate limit is nothing like application level in OSI layer, layer 7 protections, right? You can have this kind of bot control, this rate limit at the WAF level. So this is also very interesting case for us. So when the customer asks, I also took 5 minutes to do a little research on that. And I wanted to show the demo, but the answer is WAF, because WAF, you can connect WAF with ALB, that you know probably, right?
Yeah, that we know.
That WAF, you can connect ALB and other CloudFront and other services as well. So if you put the WAF here, then that's the things, right? Let me also bring it on that one. I mean, AWS management console. If I can see that, I can show you.
I think load balancer will be communicate with all of the services in AWS, right? If I'm not wrong.
Not all services. API gateway, it almost works on all of the services, but ALB, it works with, your, Lambda, EC2, even the ECS, EKS, Beanstalk. I'm just doing a random, thinking, and these are all top services. You can see, you can use. So here, they are in the rate limit. All you need to do that. There's a manage. So let's say if I just put a test and I want to apply this WAF for my this one application load balance. I don't have any, but let's say I have. So currently you can see the WAF, you can apply load balancer, Amazon API gateway, okay, app sync, Amazon app runner, graph SQL, and Cognito. So in AWS very good. So let's say go to next, and then what you can do that from here, you can create your own rules and groups, right? And here in the role groups, you can see there's a rate-based rule, and you have to define their different, source IP address, all of the, settings and actions. You just give me a 2 minutes, please. Hello. Yeah. All junk calls. So you have to set a source IP. So this is not a full-fledged, I mean, the boot camp for this web, but probably you can do a little research on your own. There's a lot of documentation. How can you create this different kind of data control web? So in interest of time, go back to architecture diagram once again. All right. So now here, so this network firewall, etc., it's pretty straightforward in terms of you understand, it will protect layer 3, layer 4, those kind of network level as a perimeter level security. But there's another questions comes to my mind right now, which is related to VP, jump server or bastion host. Okay. So you see that these architectures typically based on EC2 based approach, right? It's a kind of IaaS service, infrastructure service. There's no microservices or no serverless options. So we have another, architecture that we discuss all this microservices based architecture I have. But currently, let's assume that this is a kind of typical straightforward vanilla, EC2 based approach. But here, that's why you can see there's a jump server there, right? So what is jump server bastion host? You probably know, right? Or whoever doesn't know. Okay, please explain.
One
Jagadish.
question, like, is jump and bastions are both similar?
Yeah, jump means and bastion, they are all similar. They're two different names, but
Okay, thanks.
yeah, so many people, they actually confuse what is jump, what is bastion, but both are same. Different people, they would love to call in a different name. So the question is related to jump or bastion host only. So let's say that customer doesn't want to use jump server, but because in Azure there's a different service called bastion service in Azure. But since it is a AWS discussion, so customer, they don't want to spend any amount for any EC2 instances for the jump server. Okay, they need some kind of managed service option, and they would like to replace the jump server with some of the AWS managed service options. Do you ever any AWS service that can replace this jump server and work as a jump server solutions or bastion service solutions?
I think we can use a NAT gateway.
Unfortunately, no, not the right answer. NAT gateway is a different purpose. We'll discuss a lot about this NAT gateway. But the jump server, so who can explain what is jump server? Maybe if I ask randomly a question to anybody who can explain that.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so jump or bastion is the server like which uses to connect to the private server in the private subnet. So as it doesn't have direct connection to the public, so if the administrator or he cannot connect to the public, so he can connect with the help of the bastion to the instance which is in the private server.
That's absolutely correct answer. So let me make these questions little tougher, little difficult for you, and that's the whole purpose of today, right? So we'll discuss. So let's say I'm the security person from customer, and I also need to protect, because the jump server rightly mentioned that it is a kind of gateway by which I first will take the jump server access, and from there inside I can connect to other private subnet nodes or servers, right? But can you restrict the jump server more, like only from certain location the jump server can be accessed? Yes or no? So I repeat my question once again. So can you do some more restrictions at the jump server? Let's say it's a EC2 server, right? Jump server, some kind of more restriction that only from my branch office or only from my head office or only from my certain IP addresses it will access.
Yes, we can do with the help of security groups like
Super. Yes, the security group is the right answer. Okay, so let me back to my first question, right? So what is the service that can replace the jump server, this EC2 based jump server solution in AWS?
I suspect single sign-on.
Very good try. Single sign-on, but not really. But single sign-on, it has a different use cases, but it is not a replacement of the jump server actually. But you tried very well. Single sign-on, it reminds me something else for today's discussion as well. Thanks, Muruga. Okay, so I can answer this in the interest of time. So jump server, you can replace with SSM, okay, AWS System Manager. Okay, if you go to AWS and there's a called System Manager, you can do a little research on your own. There are a lot of documentation. Even if you type in Google and type, SSM can be a jump server, then you get a lot of steps and configuration how to do that. But also I will try some of the other session in the bootcamp, and I will do all of the hands-on also. How can you configure? But quickly I'll show you what exact service I'm talking about from AWS perspective. If you go to services and if you simply go and check the management and governance sections, right? And in the management and governance sections, there are so many things. And then if you go down, System Manager, click on that. System Manager, on this left-hand side, you see there is an option called Session Manager. Okay, and if you go to the Session Manager, And if you can start the sessions, there are some of the prerequisites you need to know. First of all, there's a role you have to define and all stuff, but this is a service. You will have a documentation from AWS step by step. It will show you how to do that. But this is a service can be replacement of the Jump server in a secure fashion. Okay, go back to this. So I'm just trying to address the real situations from different levels. So that's during this PPT the architecture. So whatever it is important these days, I'm just pausing those areas and just try to answer discuss. So that's something a Jump server. So what do you mean by Open VPN? You have this site-to-site VPN, then you need Open VPN. If yes, then what's the use case to have the two different VPN? If it's a wrong, it's additional or redundant service that somebody has created, or if it's not, then anybody can explain that. Just give it a try. I think first thing.
Say I don't in the technical background, but still I see that if you have the direct connection, there will not be a VPN, site-to-site VPN working here. So when you have the direct connection, it will be good if you have the Open VPN.
Okay.
I don't know.
We'll try. Shilam, we'll try. So we already discussed that the direct the site-to-site VPN, it is here only for a failover purpose. Let's say if your direct connect goes down, then probably the site-to-site VPN you may use to continue access AWS because your direct connect link is failure. But actually we will try. But the question was, if I have the site-to-site VPN or direct connect, do you need the Open VPN again, or it is a kind of redundant additional solutions, or you don't need the Open VPN? What would be the use cases? Why the architect they have provision this Open VPN also instead of the site-to-site VPN? Little tricky, but you'll get this kind of situation or scenario in real production use cases as well, right? And you need to understand that which service can be used for what. For
Open VPN we use point-to-point secure connect.
Okay, you are going to a right direction, so I'll take it. But what next? Yeah, so Open VPN is a point-to-point and site-to-site VPN is IPsec. That's okay. But why do you think that? Why do you need this point-to-point again if you have the site-to-site VPN?
It can be a bridge for the user to have it on.
More specific, what reach you want to mean? Vikram, Yogesh, I think also you should be participating. It is an open forum. You just try. Wrong, right, wrong. It's okay. Anybody can actually. Okay, I will explain now. See, Open VPN, you rightly said, is a point-to-point sort of VPN solutions, but it might so happen like your developer, they are working from home. Okay, and they are not working from your head offices, because the moment they will reach head office, they don't need Open VPN because their office and AWS already synced with the IPsec VPN, right? Site-to-site VPN. You don't need Open VPN that time. But let's say you leave the office and go back to home or somewhere, and you got a call, like you need to access AWS to do something, right? Then you need to connect AWS in a secure manner, because your company, let's say security officer, they strongly announced or strongly have a proper guideline that you have to have connect AWS in a secure way. And then that point of time, you might need some kind of Open VPN solution. That means you need to install a client, Open VPN client tool on your laptop or desktop, and then you can connect Open VPN and then access, because you are not in office anymore, but still you need to connect AWS in a secure manner. You understand? So
Yep,
that
got
might be the requirement, like when OpenVPN, when hybrid site-to-site VPN. So one of my customers, they asked, okay, all of my home users or work from home during the COVID time, they don't need OpenVPN anymore. Okay, because ultimately they connect office provided VPN. So basically what happened then, these all of the office, end users working from home during the COVID situation, even somebody still, a lot of people are doing, myself also. So what we do, that we first connect to head office provided VPN. The moment I connect to my head office provided VPN, then I can leverage the IPsec VPN. So my routing would be from here to here. Okay, that would be another situation, but at that point of time, you don't need this open VPN anymore. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So now let's move on. So now we have.
Sorry, if we don't use office laptop, then can we use this open VPN?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, for office, so it is up to your company policy, because what you need to do, that you need to have the OpenVPN client installed first on your laptop. If your company doesn't allow to do so, then you cannot connect AWS securely, right? Through at least through this VPN tunneling, right? But at the office laptop, it's your office directives that will take into different situation. All right, so now let's talk about NAT gateway. Okay, there are a lot of use cases for this NAT gateway. But before I reach to NAT gateway, there's another recent requirement I received. Still, I'm working on that. I thought that I can discuss with you guys. So customer, they're having EC2 instances. Okay, those EC2 instances are running, let's say in private subnet. So let's say one of the EC2 instances, right? They are saying that those EC2 instances will connect to certain services outside of AWS. Let's say certain third-party applications, communication and integrations. Okay, it can be anything. It can be New Relic. It can be maybe different other things in other services. So they want to restrict that all of my outgoing traffic or egress traffic or outbound traffic, whatever you can call it, it should be filtered, and only customer will dictate or set certain outbound IP or outbound route. Only those private subnet EC2 instance reach to that particular outbound, because they don't want to open their outbound to all. Because when you learn security group, the security group is a stateful firewall by nature, right? If you open anything, if you allow anything in the inbound, that outbound is automatically allowed. That's the definition. Probably your teacher already explained, or maybe in AWS documentation. That's a definition. But my query or customer query is, they want to filter out further not all the egress traffic by default. It should be inspected somewhere else, that people or their security or network team, they can set a proper outbound rule destinations. So only this private subnet EC2 instance can reach to only those destinations. They understand the use case? It's quite lengthy questions.
But I suspect in that cases, they can use Route 53. Route 53, they can use it, or the CloudFront they can choose. These are the two options I suspect. If they wanted to restrict to some specific IP or any URL, they can use these two options. What I suspect.
No, unfortunately, this for this Route 53 won't work. Okay, because Route 53 is DNS service, but outside you don't have any control in the Route 53, because it is a kind of outbound or egress traffic I'm talking about, something like that. Let me draw. Okay.
Okay.
Then you'll understand more. let's say I have got, let's say it's my AWS, and I have got this EC2 instance, and I've got the security group as well. Let's say this one security group. Right. So what happened that if my EC2 and this outside world, let's say this is my internet or cloud, I mean internet, okay, and there's a NAT gateway and all stuff there, internet, IGW, everything is there. So
I got
this
it.
is
Got
yeah,
it.
I'm just trying to draw.
So through NAT gateway, you want only few IPs to be get accessed on outside world, not
Yeah.
all.
Not all. So let's say only specific service, let's say service 1, let's say service 2, okay, and customer doesn't want for service 3. So only let's say these 2 area they can do that. I mean,
while specifying adding the rule in the security group, we have a few services, right? So we can restrict with that.
yeah, could you please come again, Jagadish? I'm sorry, I couldn't get you last.
Yeah, while adding the rule in the security group, in the source drop down where we can select few only few services, right? So can we restrict by that way?
So inbound rule, are talking about inbound or egress or outbound?
Security group says is stateful, right? So it will allow all out.
That's the problem. So
all-
if you restrict
Yeah.
certain port, then you cannot get access from another sources, right? Because let's say if you define the specific, let's say IP and thing source, then it will also block your source, because the problem is source can be anything, right? Outbound would be restricted, because source can be anything, right? Let's say 80443 for an example, right? And it can be your laptop, my laptop, XYZ, and from anywhere in the world, right? From different service. But my thing is that they would like to outbound traffic only can go to certain server, let's say for Net New Relic or
in that case we can use a NACL, right?
yeah, very well tried, but NACL also cannot be done, because NACL there's inter subnet related very close, because we are also working on the NACL, but so I can tell you the solution. What exactly it would be little different, and I have these solutions with me. So basically, what you can do, which is at the security group egress rule, you have to define the next hop address, which will be kind of Palo Alto or some kind of network firewall inside AWS. So let's say you need to have a firewall appliance from a marketplace, okay? Or in AWS also we have the network firewall, right? So either of the cases, let's say firewall icon, any icon. Let's say this is a kind of FortiGate or Palo Alto or even AWS network firewall. So you can do the routing, you can define the route at the security group. Okay, all of the egress traffic next hop address, it would be this firewall. Okay, I don't know how can I cannot draw that, something like that. Okay, so this is your next hop address, and inside that this firewall for virtual appliance, you can define, okay, what would be my next target, which would be these services. So in that case, you need to have additional layers, which is another service. It can be network firewall, or it can be, as I said, the virtual appliance. And this would be helpful to address this kind of query. I have a documentation from my network team, the security team recently, because I am also working on that, and we got the solutions now. So now the traffic routing would go from here to there. Here, network team or security team, they have to define, okay, what would be your exact next addresses, outbound address, and then the traffic can go and flow to this through these internet gateway somewhere else through NAT and all, to this specific service.
But these things can be restricted when you connect to the VPN also. We can try this, right? We can restrict some of the sites.
Yeah, Why not? Yeah, that also can be done. So that's another story, but another use case. But yes, you can define all of the kind of UTM sort of used to do that. The UTM level. You can restrict those things. So you can restrict those additional layer, website name, etc., domain name here on here also.
Okay. But that VPN cannot be implemented in this place after.
Yeah, so you need to define what would be your layer. So let's say in the VPN, anyways you can do, right? So VPN is there, and before reaching to VPN, so if I just bring on my another this one, so you can actually have this one. So you have see the network firewall. So the moment it will connect to that, this is my perimeter level security, right? You know what is perimeter level security? Network protection. You can have this kind of control here as well to protect further, right? It's kind of north, south, east, west traffic protections also, right? Through this network file.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So it just came to me, and that I thought that we wanted to discuss about that. Now let's go back to NAT gateway. Okay, another. So guys, probably it's not boring again because I cannot get any answer, anything from Yogesh, Vikram. So mostly Jagadish, Chilam, Vivek, and Murugan, you are a bit active, but I strongly request Yogesh and Vikram, take a participant here in this call discussion. All right. So now, if I go back to NAT gateway, so what is a NAT gateway? Who can explain? Anybody?
It's outbound connectivity. Actually,
Yes.
when we want to route traffic towards the internet, so this will be like your static public IP addresses for all your services.
Super. Yes. I have a question for you. If I'm the customer, can I have elastic IP addresses can be attached to NAT gateway?
Yes,
I
absolutely, we
guess,
can attach it.
yes.
Okay. You can attach the elastic IP addresses. Can I have a specific security group for the NAT gateway?
No, I guess it is not.
Okay, so again, I repeat my question. So can you add, so the elastic IP address perfectly rightly answered, guys. But the question is, can I have the security group attached specific to NAT gateway? Somebody said no, but answer is yes. Why?
We can connect it to restrict. To again to restrict on that, what all the inbounds if you wanted to have, or the outbound specific you wanted to create.
Then the question, then the same thing, right? I mean, if you want to achieve these things, then you need to have a security group anyways, right? The answer is yes. If there's a case you want to restrict further inbound, outbound, right? Then you should have the security group, and thanks to AWS NAT gateway, that you can have this security group also attached to the NAT gateway through a NIC or network interface card. Because the moment you create the NAT gateway, you will have the network interface card along with this NAT gateway, and all we know that internet network the network interface card can be attached to a security group. Okay, a security group can be attached to network interface card, and that's how you can restrict. Because there's a lot of use cases actually that I'm asking, right? Many companies they ask that, okay, I want to again restrict the certain inbound protections even for the NAT gateway. I really don't want everyone can connect to my private subnet, so on and so forth. So then the security group comes into the picture. You can define this inbound rule at the security group at the NAT gateway also.
Is it for outbound or inbound? This NAT gateway.
Okay. Yes. So the NAT gateway, the main purpose that, let's say your private subnet, time to time they want to reach to the outside world for update and patching, right? Let's say it's one of the database, right? For an example. So you know that the database needs their own patching, version upgradations, and a lot of stuff, Without NAT gateway, it cannot go and talk to internet, right? So in that case, you need to have the NAT gateway also, right? So your traffic should go through this NAT gateway to the outside world. So that will be your outbound connectivity. But you can use NAT gateway for inbound connectivity as well. Okay, that's a very interesting use case for that. Thanks, Chilam, for asking these questions. So there's a customer. They are from different municipality corporation. I cannot take their name. So they have certain SAP implemented inside AWS. Okay, and all of the SAP workload running in the private subnet. And they need to have the banking integrations with their SAP FICO, the SAP module. Okay, you know, there's SAP, there's a lot of modules, and you need to integrate with the bank for certain transactions and all stuff. Since the private subnet there, and the bank, they don't know what is AWS Azure. I mean, different way. I'm sorry, because they know, but what is AWS? But so they have their own services. So they need that some of the public IP address to whitelist, and for certain SSL certifications, for secure communication, and that's why you can establish a connectivity with bank and AWS, right? So in that case, you need to have NAT gateway, because NAT gateway provides a public IP address, number one. And also this NAT, so if your bank wants to communicate to certain, let's say certain application, let's say it's one of the modules, then this time the traffic flow from inbound as well. So your bank can have through this NAT gateway and go further to this. It can use inbound and outbound as well. Different situations, Chilam. I understand.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's take 3 minutes break, and then we'll come back and we'll be there till 6:30.
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, we are back. Okay, we are discussing this one with Matt Gateway. Okay, now in this that short break, so a couple of more use cases I recalled. So the second use case is for you. Let's say this entire workload. So basically, before they went to AWS, so they have a lot of on-premises servers, and they have got a lot of on-premises data, something like 60 TB data. Okay, and those 60 TB they would like to migrate to AWS. Okay, and some of the data are the satellite images, because some of the workloads are related to AI/ML and the satellite, AI/ML and satellite related workload. So they wanted to have those data to AWS before the actual productions will live. Okay, you understand the requirement? So in that case, the question is, how can you migrate the 60 TB huge data to AWS within 10 days, 10 or 11 days, for example?
Snowball.
Yeah, it's a very easy question. The answer is very easy. The answer is snowball, right? There's a lot of discussion I can have snowball, because I actually did a hands-on configuration with for one of my customers at Odisha. So I went to their place, I ordered snowball. So I have seen the huge 80 TB snowball. So now snowball name has got changed, probably right? Snowball H. And then there's a lot of settings that you can do, all stuff. And also I'll share some of my experience maybe in next sessions for the snowball. Not now, but answer is absolutely right. Snowball. I just take a note, like next session we can have some of the discussion.
Is it a device?
Oh,
is
yes.
it a device? Okay.
Oh yes, so I can show you the device.
It's a hardware device which you have
It
to
is
order it from the Amazon.
So we have to go to the data center and attach the device in the server.
Yes, that's a pretty good question. Who can answer? I mean, just help Chilam to answer, because I also want to see how much knowledge you have related to Snowball. How exactly Snowball works? Anybody know?
It can be directly connected to your storage where the data is residing. You can connect this and you can just start the process of copying the data.
So right.
This is like a hard drive, but it is a bigger size, which in petabyte you can say.
Yes.
So you can carry that and you can shift it to the other side and you can just copy it back from that, or you can sync it. That's all.
Okay.
Correct. So you can see on my screen, Chilam, that this is a Snowball devices. So Vivek rightly pointed out that this is a inside that you will get the hard drive, right? And you see there's a panel. So what you can do, let's say you have the 60 TB of data, right? You want to upload to these devices first from your laptop or desktop computer. Okay. So you need to connect the USB, or you need not USB, you need to connect the RJ45 cable with your network, and then you can start copying the data from your data from here, from your laptop to here, right?
Okay, from on-premise environment, we have to connect with this device to our on-premise server and copy the data. Then how it move to AWS? Will it
Very
be
good
sent?
Question. Valid question. So first point is right. So what happened as a process that first you need to place an order, okay, and the courier service, let's say Blue Dart, somebody else, they will ship the device from AWS to on your data center, right?
Okay.
At your data center. First, once you are done with this, and then again you have to complete a job. There's a process that you have to say AWS from the console. There's a console name is OpsWorks. Okay, OpsWorks. I'll show you. Then from there you have to say that I'm done with this copy. So what happened? AWS, the courier service team also will come to a place again, and then they will pick up these devices and just take it away straight to AWS data centers. From where
they will pick it. They'll come and pick it from.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And then what happened? Then they will go back and connect to S3. So the moment that they will take away. So first your data will dump into your AWS S3 bucket in your AWS account. Okay.
Okay.
You have to say all the things in the manifest file. You have to define which S3, where you have to define. So you have to create this manifest file, and then they will just follow your instructions. They will
Okay.
just dump your file to S3, and then it will also take 2 days most likely for the entire copy from AWS side, and that's how you can migrate the huge data from your. There's another process. How can you make faster copy and all stuff? But there's another sessions. Maybe you need for another 2 to 3 hour sessions only for Snowball. And I was very fortunate that I went to Singapore and I had a specific I attended a specific webinar, session was
Okay.
Snowball comes with a different flavor. Snowball H, Snowball, now Snowmobile. Snowmobile is a very small devices. It is only meant for 8 TB of data. So let's say if you have the 8 TB of data, if you want to copy, then also you can place another Snowball, which is named Snowmobile. My bad, Snowcon. I'm extremely sorry for that.
So
Snowcon.
what is the maximum limit we can transfer from on-premise to AWS without a device through the cable, through the network cable?
Who would like to take these questions? It's a very interesting question. So what's
yeah, we can take a direct connect instead of copying the data, but it will take we need to pay more comparatively. If you are taking Snowball service, then yeah, if 60 TBs
No. Muru, 1 minute. The thing is, little bit I wanted to correct it. Any data you are pushing to the AWS is free, but the thing is the time consumption will take, which you can do it in 2 to 3 days. It will take 1 month or of more than that, because
based on
60
your
TB
bandwidth,
data
what
based
you
on your
bought. Yeah.
bandwidth also. Okay, so it's because if customer want urgently to be copied the data to the other site, then they can use this, and they can use this service within if they have more data and wanted to copy it in a shorter amount of time, they can use this. But if they have a more bandwidth and they wanted to have less data, they can use the internal network directly to copy it over the cloud.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely right answer. So I don't want to say anything because they have explained pretty well. That is something, another use cases regarding Snowball. There's a then there's another thing. So let me ask a very regular problem that in your industry you see that. So let's say some of the customers they're saying that from these web tiers, let's say these are web tier web servers, and the ping response is not coming, because some troubleshooting they would like to do from somewhere, but somehow these servers are not reachable over ICMP or FTP protocol, because let's say they have implemented some kind of FTP server, for an example, right, for any of the servers, SFTP or FTP. But the moment they would like to connect the server over FTP port, it is getting rejected. What do you think? What could be the main problem for that? Very simple, straightforward. I mean, very regular problem you see. It can be FTP, it can be ICMP.
Security group.
Yes. The answer is security group, because it may be in the security group you have not opened that particular port in the inbound sections, right? And that would lead a problem, because this is a kind of firewall, right? If you have ever worked with any firewall, you know that unless
in real scenarios, in premises they will use firewall. They will restrict that port to be accessed for FTP or SFTP, these kinds of ports. So but here it can be a security group, as it's correct. They can restrict.
That's right.
So a security group is same as IP table in Linux?
Almost, yeah, in Linux they have their own IP tabling inside the particular server, right? But it is a little advanced way. It's outside your server level. So in IP table in Linux, you have to have the operating system level, settings, right, to restrict certain things. But Security group is a kind of firewall that you can restrict across your multiple servers,
Okay.
or you can group of the servers you can define to have. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go back to another layer here again. Go back here. Okay, I will discuss. We'll touch all of the other layers maybe. Here, another very interesting questions. Let me just think. Okay, so there's a 5 lakhs customer, 5 lakhs, which is huge, quite big, and this 5 lakh customer, they would like to access, your newly developed applications, okay, by using their Open ID, by using their Gmail or Facebook ID or LinkedIn. Okay, so what AWS service that you can leverage or position for this kind of 5 lakhs user, so that they can use their own Gmail to log in or sign up? So you see this these days, this kind of thing for a lot of SaaS based product, right? You really don't need to create your email address and first name, last name all the time. You simply just authenticate your existing Gmail or LinkedIn or Facebook to sign up in application. The same thing I'm asking. So how can we propose which service we should go in? Very common questions these days, very common requirement these days.
So you mentioned we have 5 lakhs of customers. So like very large amount of customers. So we can use only serverless applications, serverless services, serverless AWS
Now,
services.
Jagadish, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
So that's a separate story. I mean, from the scalability perspective, from the performance perspective, maybe you can go for serverless. My question related to authentications. Be precise.
AWS API.
SSO?
SSO. No, 5 lakhs customer can have a SSO is something they need to connect AWS management console, right? But let's say I have developed a mobile application. Let's say you have got your own phone. Think about from that perspective. You have got your own phone, right? And you like to connect Zomato. Okay. Let's say Zomato, they have got more than 5 lakhs, right? You need to sign up Zomato. There you see you can authenticate Zomato or Swiggy by using what? Your Gmail, right?
Cognito.
Exactly. So why you took so many times for that to think? Cognito.
Yeah. Yes.
So these are very, very common services these days. At least you should know, because I have not gone to professional level, because my questions around still in the AWS solution associate level. Yes, some of the questions related to advanced level also, but the Cognito, the Snowball, this OAF, the security group, these are all these days, very common, right? You must know these are the services. If you're in your course, maybe you have just touched on the Cognito, or maybe you have not got so many exposure in Cognito in interest of time, because AWS Solution Architect Associate itself is a very big courses, right? It is not possible for the instructor to target each and every component. It's not possible. But if you know some of the services name, at least Cognito is one of the very important services from AWS. You need to deep dive and learn. Okay. Okay. So Cognito is the right answer. So now let's go back. Not go back rather. So let's say you can see there's a lot of servers. Okay. For our case, maybe it's a 10, but in real situation, maybe it's 100 servers or 50, 70 servers. Okay. And some of the servers are pretty similar, identical. Okay. And you need to follow certain templates for that, like the same kind of configuration, same kind of settings, same kind of parameters across all of the servers. And let's say you are only one person, working for a company.
Launch configuration for launch templates.
Launch template. I mean, I need a more specific answer. How can you deploy this kind of, let's say, okay, I would just rephrase my questions. Let's say you have you can see the AWS account, and you have deployed so many things in the private subnet, you have got the database layer, you have got so many things, a public subnet, you have got some of the settings there. And now let's say your company, they would like to have the similar kind of infrastructure for another AWS account, because you will get another AWS customer, for an example. So it's impossible to have the same thing again and again for different customer, because it will take us so many times a human error. It might so happen. So if you want to replicate the entire configurations in another AWS account quickly, how can you do that? That would be a better question for you guys. You understand the question?
We can use through the cloud formation through the code level.
Yes, simple question, simple answer. You
Yes,
can do this
formation
cloud
templates.
yes, cloud
Yes.
formation template is an infrastructure, a code service that you can define. You can create, all of this parameter in YAML or JSON format, and then you can. It's just something similar like any infrastructure code these days, right? Terraform, something like that. So you can build very faster with using the cloud formation template. So I'm asking the same services but in a different way, because these are the things you will get, because then I need that point of time you will not get confused, or it would be some kind of foreign language for you. What or how can I do that? Because this is you already learned, right? But you need to apply whatever you've learned at the right time. That is something important. Okay, it's a 6:04. So we have another 20 minutes. So okay, next questions. I have 50 developers working for my company. Okay, and every 50 developers, they have certain, let's say 10 developers, they would like to access certain services. Another 10 would like to have another certain services in AWS. And there are a lot of newcomers will be joining, and many old maybe the interns also will leave the company, because there's a lot of IM level management issue you can see, because you don't have any much bandwidth to create all of the IM, the permission control all the time, right? So what service can help you from AWS that you can provide certain permission?
IAM roles and groups.
Yes, roles, groups, and then what I mean, these are roles, groups, okay. Yeah, group, at the group level you can define, but how fast they have their own kind of AWS console. So let's say I am the developer, right? So let's say I've already
We have few services called like identity centers.
yes. So SSO, which is now identity services, right? So if you go to AWS, SSO single sign-on, the single sign-on, you can create, if I'm the developer, what I can do that I can simply click the provided link and then put a user ID and password, and then I have my own console, something like that. So something like that. If I go to AWS console, right? And if we just type SSO, now it's identity center. See the name successor to AWS single sign-on now is IAM identity center. And if you go to IAM identity center, what you need to do that okay, you need to have the AWS organizations first, and it is enabling. So it will so now you can create your users, or you can also integrate AWS IAM. So let's say I would like to have the user called Bob, for an example only. Then you have to send certain thing like send email and all stuff. You have to define, let's say bob@gmail.com. All right, confirm, first name Bob Brown, and these are all options. So if I create that, then rightly said that you have to create a group. Right now I'm not going to do that. So let's see if I can add user. So my Bob has been created. Now what you can do that, you also can use identity center with different applications. So let's say your developer or certain user, they would like to access Dropbox. And you know what is single sign-on? Single sign-on means you can use your own, only one user ID and password, your credentials. Using that credentials, you can use multiple application. It can be AWS application, it can be a non-AWS applications, right? Something like that. So let's say if I want to integrate with Dropbox, so this Bob guy, he can use that single credentials, okay, and use the Dropbox using this. There are definitely some of the configurations there. So you can integrate some third-party application or AWS accounts as well. So let's say Bob is one of your developers. He would like to access AWS accounts, and then you need to select the groups. For my case, it doesn't have. I think I need to create a group quickly. Again, it is not a AWS course, but I'm just giving a name. It's a dev, and I can assign the group like that user called dev. And then if you go back to AWS accounts, and simply go and select that account and assign. Yeah. And then next. And then you can set all of the permissions set that Bob can do what. Bob can be a read-only access, or Bob can have a full access. Those detail, roles you have to define. Let's say Bob is administrator or only, or you can also have a customer permissions as permission sets as well. So anyway, so let me go for the administrator access for an example. And then if you go back to next and click next, create. So this is the permission set I have created for this Bob. And I think I have not completed yet, or okay. Quickly, there, next. Here you go, next, submit. So you can see the now the permission has been assigned. So what we can do now, like if I go to dashboard and go to the user, you can see there's a Bob, and if you go to the settings tab, you see there's an access portal. So what Bob will do, the moment Bob will join to your company, he doesn't go to aws.amazon.com, then provided. So not that. So he can simply click on provided link. So this link you have to share with Bob, right? And Bob will see this kind of user interface like this. So what Bob will do, that Bob will just simply go next, and the password you need to set for Bob. Let's say if a user, right? I click on that and reset password. Password. Copy that one. So Bob will use that password for the first time, but next time Bob should change the password. I don't remember all of the steps. I mean, since the ask question is so, then I think some of the steps, see if I remember. So if I go to Amazon Web Services, you can see this AWS account, and based on that permission, Bob can have the management console or CLI, and here you go. And definitely, since Bob has got us full access right now, he should access all of the services, but yeah, you have to restrict that access as well. All right, that's how it works. Super. So now, next question. Okay, the next question can be from a different service, very important service. So let's say in the same line, you have got a multiple AWS accounts, right? And there are so many different people, they work different AWS account, okay? Because what happened for a large company, they have their multiple AWS accounts, and this AWS account, each and every accounts, let's say some of the accounts are from customer A, customer B, customer C, or maybe it's a very large corporations. For each and every different AWS account, they have a different workloads. Okay, maybe on the one account it has the production, second account dev, another account QA. Okay, sort of thing. But now your company, security officer, they are very concerned about all of the policies, etc. They have instructed you, that security officer team, and you need to apply some kind of central policy management that all of this policy will apply across all of the AWS accounts. Okay, so you really don't need to go each and every account, and you don't need to define all of the policies again and again. But instead of that, you need to go and apply the policy from some kind of central system as a central management, and then the policy will get applied across all of the AWS accounts, right? So which service would be helpful for that? It's very important, guys. I can see these are the requests are coming very frequently, very common these days. So first, answer the questions. What would be the service for AWS? You got my question?
Yeah, we got the question.
Okay. Good. Think. It can be done, right? This situation might come. So it's a very practical situation. I'm sharing that you may have a 7 or 10 AWS accounts for a customer. It's a quite big customer, or maybe you are the MSP. You have a lot of customers. Yeah.
So, and we can give the policies with any YAML file. We can apply it in the root level.
That can be done, but again, there's a lot of effort to be needed, and you need to apply this policy, YAML policy. I mean, that's okay, but there's a better solutions there in AWS by which you can apply. Okay, the answer is control tower. Okay, probably you have heard this name. So if you don't have not heard this name.
I am
Yes, yes,
I am aware of that, but at the
Yeah, I
moment,
heard
like I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Didn't
happens
click it.
even
Yes.
during the interview calls, guys, because they're the same kind of questions your interview or hiring company will ask, and in the different way, refreshed, but the answer would be same, right? Because the entire discussion we are discussing not only for the production use case, it could be also helpful for an interview crack. So the answer is control tower. In the control tower, you can create different guardrails and the policy through SCP, and then you can ingest those policy across different AWS accounts, and in few seconds, minutes, those policies will get applied. And you can also, manage centrally those policy, that who can access what sort of stuff, and your day-to-day life is very easier. And I can see the adoptions in market. The cloud, this control tower is very high. So probably you can park your maybe 1 or 2 hours anytime during this week. You can focus on the control tower and how exactly it works. There's a lot of videos there from AWS as well. This control tower. All right, 6:16. So many things to absorb. So I cannot extend more. I said it's 6:30, but that's fine. 6:16. Then we can now wrap up. It's time now. Questions. If you have any questions you would like to discuss with me, then feel free to ask questions. I'll try to answer if you have any. Okay. Silence, I will take no questions. Okay, you have? All right, go ahead.
Just wanted to know this Kubernetes. So when we talk about Kubernetes, it's like it's a part of the AWS, or it's altogether a separate service which we can use in our day-to-day activity. How it will be?
Yeah, so Kubernetes is a open source product. It is not AWS own product. Very beginning, actually Kubernetes got developed by Google, and then now it became open source product. So it is not now. It's a kind of open source solutions. But in AWS we have the EKS service, which is called Elastic Kubernetes Service, right? So you can use this service and for your Kubernetes workloads. It's a managed service, by the way. Okay, and you can easily deploy your Kubernetes cluster in a server and serverless mode, because probably you have heard another name which is called Fargate.
Correct.
Right.
Forget.
So
Yeah.
Fargate is a serverless. It comes with both Kubernetes or even another Docker solutions, ECS. From the management perspective, from operations perspective, it's very easy. It's kind of few click. You need to deploy your Kubernetes cluster, different nodes with load balancer, high availability, scalable. If you are interested, I can have another, hands-on session on the Kubernetes, on the DevOps part. It's kind of boot camp. But not now, but yes, it is kind of, the same thing. AWS, they are using EKS. In Azure, they are using AKS. Okay, Azure Kubernetes Service, GCP, they have the Kubernetes GKS. But ultimately, these are the managed solutions from AWS, EKS.
So this Kubernetes, we have to learn with DevOps, or we can have
Yes.
separately. We can learn Kubernetes as
So
altogether separate.
So Kubernetes is a DevOps, definitely DevOps, one of the DevOps, content. And somebody they also call microservices, right? So microservices starts with the Kubernetes, okay?
Okay.
Or Docker. So these are the first step for your microservices. So it's a part of DevOps, definitely. So you need to learn Kubernetes first, because AWS will not teach you what is Kubernetes, right?
Yeah, correct.
So you need. So if you are interested, that I think we have a course called DevOps Standard. It's a very interesting course I developed with one of my instructor. You can join there, but again, this is not in any other purpose of this call. This is because you asked this question to answer your question. Okay. The Kubernetes is a part of DevOps. Any more questions?
So if we will take separately, like if I don't go depth on the DevOps, if I go only for Kubernetes, so can I just learn only Kubernetes?
Yeah.
Is it possible?
Yeah, why not? Yes.
Okay. No, that's what I just wanted to clear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks. Then.
All right, then we can wrap up this call. Thanks for your joining and time. I really appreciate, and I think we can join. We'll see you next session, which is day 3 or part 3 for AWS Solutions Architect as a use case. Take care.
Special thanks for your time, actually.
No problem.
Thanks,
No problem.
Thank you so much.
No problem,
Thank
sir.
you.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Bye-bye.
Bye.